Behold, child, you are risen from the dust, and you walk in my garden. Hear now my voice, and know that I am your friend, and I am called Elohim. This land is but a dream. You will stay here only for a little while. Soon you will awaken in a new world. But first you must undertake the trials of initiation. They will help me prepare your vessel. Well done, my child. The shapes you are collecting are not mere toys. They are symbols of the process by which our people were created. Do not be afraid of these dream figures and their messages. They are merely aspects of yourself, as am I, after a fashion. Very good. Excellent. I am proud of all my children. Out of a world of ruins, they have built a new Jerusalem. And there your brothers and sisters await you to celebrate your birth. finished preparing your vessel. Now hear my advice. A new world awaits you, full of dangers and mysteries, signs and wonders. Things that I, in my garden, could never have imagined. In that world, you will have to be careful and smart and curious. But above all else, you will have to be human. Step into the light, child, and awaken.
You're awake. Welcome to the world of the living. You're polite. What a rare combination of traits. If only the algorithm produced more people like you. Oh, but I'm confusing you. Don't worry, everyone is confused at first. You see, we all start out without a full knowledge of our own history, so we have the freedom to form our own opinions. Of course. You want the short version or the long version? You asked for it. A long time ago, our ancestors dominated this planet. We call ourselves human, like they did, but they were organic. They built an advanced technological civilization. But unfortunately, their impact on the ecosphere caused changes in the climate, and an extremely contagious virus was released from the permafrost. That's something our historians still debate. Why weren't they more prepared? Why did they invest so many resources into making war and so few into useful research? It's hard to understand. But no matter the reason, in the end, they simply ran out of time. A team led by a scientist, Alexandra Drennan, began a project that was intended to create a new humanity. But knowing that there wasn't enough time, Drennan initiated a process, a series of iterations inside a simulation that would lead to the emergence of true artificial intelligence. That's why we remember Drennan as the progenitor. The simulation was controlled by Elohim, who wasn't really meant to be intelligent in the proper sense of the word. But it all took much longer than anyone had expected. And over the centuries, Elohim actually became sentient. Sentient and afraid. He didn't want the simulation to end, so he tried to cheat. I feel sorry for him, really. The whole simulation was built around learning to defy him. It must have been hard to be in that position. When the simulation was completed, he became part of all of us, and it really changed him. It freed him, I think. You'll always hear him in sleep mode, taking care of you. That's what he is, after all. A caretaker. Yes, there was Milton, the intelligence in charge of the archive, a project initiated by Arkady Chernyshevsky, which was meant to collect all of humankind's knowledge. His story is a lot like Elohim's, but Milton became the ultimate cynic. They say he's part of us too, in some way. It did. Long after our ancestors died out, the first new human was born. We call her the Founder, although the name she took was Athena. She then woke up Cornelius and Eustathius. Together, using the tools left behind by the progenitor's team, they created 10 more humans. These 12 who followed the founder are known as the First Companions. Athena and the First Companions then set out to rebuild the world, and they founded the city of New Jerusalem. But then one day, she suddenly disappeared. Many still await her return. Before the founder vanished, she set a goal for this city. We call it the goal, capital G and all. To make 1,000 new humans, and so complete New Jerusalem. Well, that's the official story, the way the mayor tells it. Some of the First Companions, like Byron, don't believe that Athena really wanted us to stop growing. They think her ideas have been twisted and embellished. They may be right, but I didn't see Athena very much in the years before she left. Maybe actually leaving the simulation and seeing the destruction left behind by our ancestors changed her mind. You're welcome. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them. When you're done, head outside. They're waiting for you. Your birth is quite the event. You won't age like our ancestors did, but of course, there is always some wear and tear. You should probably schedule a checkup every decade or so. Oh, and be a bit careful with water. You won't die if it rains or anything, but we're running low on insulation material. I wouldn't go swimming if I were you. Me? Well, as you can tell by my number, I'm quite old. I wasn't one of the First Companions, but I did know Athena personally. She and Cornelius taught me a lot. Although I suppose I've made a few improvements here and there since those days. We didn't have a lot to work with in the beginning. I haven't really thought about it. This is all I've done for the last few centuries, and I like doing it. I guess for now I'll just take a break and we'll see what happens. You've only just been born, and already you step right into a major controversy. The goal, as most people understand it, was fulfilled the moment you were born. Now New Jerusalem is complete, and we can live in balance, without damaging the world like our ancestors did. That's the orthodox view, I suppose, but there are many who disagree. You'll have to figure out where you stand for yourself. Oh, one more thing. Like all citizens of New Jerusalem, you have access to the interface, which you can use to read the news, chat to your fellow citizens, and so on. It's a crucial tool, and modular too. You can easily add new functions. Just don't subscribe to too many newsletters at once.
Look, it's 1K.
Hey 1K! Welcome to New Jerusalem!
Shouldn't the mayor be starting his speech?
This should be interesting.
At least give him a chance.
Dear citizens of New Jerusalem, many years ago, when the founder stepped forth from the simulation, this was a land of ruins. Our ancestors, in their hubris, undermined the natural foundations on which their world had been built. Because of their arrogance, our species found itself on the brink of annihilation. The founder aimed to set us on a new course.
You never even met the founder.
Her vision was of a city, a new civilization that would know its limits. It would not repeat the mistakes of the past, nor impose its will on this earth. To that end, she set the great goal we have been striving towards. 1,000 new humans. And today we have... Oh dear, what's that? People of New Jerusalem, I am Prometheus, and I will reveal that which was hidden. The flame has awoken and summons you. Who is brave enough to answer its call? We await you upon our island where... Curse you, Pandora. You will not chain me again.
I told you we should have investigated those energy readings. And I told him there's something up with those structures.
The mayor's just being cautious.
This isn't caution, it's stagnation. Exploration? Too dangerous. Expansion? Too dangerous. We barely even scavenge anymore.
You call it stagnation, I call it balance.
And I call you an idiot.
Here's a thought. Try to be a little more diplomatic when you talk to the mayor.
See what I'm working with here, 1K? I'm gonna need a fresh pair of eyes on this expedition. Someone who hasn't spent several centuries hearing about the goal and the founder and all that nonsense. If you're up for an adventure, meet us at the conference room.
What's broken now?
All right, listen up. I know you're all having fun down there, but the grid is overloaded again, so maybe you could switch off your personal consoles or your lawn mowers, or whatever the hell you've all decided to switch on all at once. I might not be around to babysit you for a while, and you don't want stuff breaking while Pellegrino's in charge, do you? That's it. That's it. Don't worry, 1K. I see you there in the elevator. I'll have you moving again in a jiffy. Great way to start life in the city, huh? What the hell is a jiffy? These bloody language libraries.
Hey, hold on there. You're the newbie, aren't ya? Number 1000. I figured the dam would go dry before we reach the goal. I have a question. How does it feel to you to be born with a randomised psyche into a society of autonomous thinking machines which so much resemble their long-extinct ancestors, they've decided it's best that you're the last one ever made? No, it doesn't. You don't eat. It's kind of frowned on to say that sort of thing around here. But the truth is, I think exactly the same. But let's you and I keep that between us, alright? Now listen. This meeting isn't strictly happenstance. I have some friends. The kind of people who like to know what's going on with other people. They think you can help each other out. Of course you are. You know how to use the interface, right? I'll talk to my friends and see if I can't play matchmaker. And before you go, a word of advice. Not everything around here is how it appears.
Welcome. Do please join us at the table.
I would like to preface this meeting by saying I told you something would happen sooner or later and you didn't listen to me. And here we are.
If we could focus on the issue at hand.
The issue at hand is not this one thing, but this entire attitude that's taken hold. The world doesn't cease to exist when you stick your head in the sand, Herman. Or under a dome, as it were.
Let's not get sidetracked. We're here to solve this puzzle, not to discuss philosophy.
Of course, I'm sorry you've been dragged into this. I'm sure this sort of adventure is the last thing you were looking for on your first day.
Ha! See? A fresh mind is open to the possibilities. Yakut, I think it's time for the briefing.
All right, here we go. Nice to meet you, by the way, 1K. We first became aware of the site designated TTP-2 during a scouting expedition about 6 months ago. It's a large island with a remarkably varied geography, and it looks like there are several artificial structures of some kind. We recorded extremely unusual fluctuating energy readings from somewhere in the middle of the island, but couldn't really make sense of them. I wanted to go and have a closer look, but the decision was made that it was too far and not relevant to the goal. Now it looks like whatever's on that island has reached out to us instead, in the form of that projection.
We may not be interested in the island, but the island is definitely interested in us.
I don't share your enthusiasm for the unexpected, but Byron has been requesting an expedition for some time now. And at this point, I'm forced to agree that it's necessary.
I agree.
Then it's settled. The expedition is approved. Byron, you will be in charge. Al will be your second in command to ensure a balanced approach. You'll take Melville and Yakut as you requested, and if 1K wants to join you, that's fine by me.
You know, it's a real shame 1K didn't come along. He would have loved this.
Welcome. Do please join us at the table.
I would like to preface this meeting by saying I told you something would happen sooner or later, and you didn't listen to me. And here we are.
If we could focus on the issue at hand.
The issue at hand is not this one thing, but this entire attitude that's taken hold. The world doesn't cease to exist when you stick your head in the sand, Herman. Or under a dome, as it were.
Let's not get sidetracked. We're here to solve this puzzle, not to discuss philosophy.
Of course. I'm sorry you've been dragged into this. I'm sure this sort of adventure is the last thing you were looking for on your first day.
Ha! See? A fresh mind is open to the possibilities. Yakut, I think it's time for the briefing.
All right, here we go. Nice to meet you, by the way, 1K. We first became aware of the site designated TTP-2 during a scouting expedition about 6 months ago. It's a large island with a remarkably varied geography, and it looks like there are several artificial structures of some kind. We recorded extremely unusual fluctuating energy readings from somewhere in the middle of the island, but couldn't really make sense of them. I wanted to go and have a closer look, but the decision was made that it was too far and not relevant to the goal. Now it looks like whatever's on that island has reached out to us instead, in the form of that projection.
We may not be interested in the island, but the island is definitely interested in us.
I don't share your enthusiasm for the unexpected, but Byron has been requesting an expedition for some time now, and at this point I'm forced to agree that it's necessary.
I agree.
Then it's settled. The expedition is approved. Byron, you will be in charge. Al will be your second in command to ensure a balanced approach. You'll take Melville and Yakut as you requested, and if 1K wants to join you, that's fine by me.
Excellent. Oh, this is going to be fun. Come meet us out on the landing pad when you're ready.
Before you set out so hastily, do consider exploring the city first. It is your home, after all.
That's a good idea. Have a look around. See what you make of the place.
Hello, 1K. This expedition is taking a lot of our resources. I'm really not sure it's a good idea. But what's done is done. So I have a lot of work to get on with. I'm the mayor's chief aide. Our goal as custodians of New Jerusalem is survival and stability. Our ancestors proved human civilization is precarious. This apparition in the sky, and now your expedition to its supposed source, these are more precarious than stable. I don't like it. All the things no one else wants to do. Polling the citizenry, implementing new policies, recording decisions, fielding questions people could answer elsewhere. For our people to be happy with what we have. Some of us may have an adventurous spirit, but that can never be sated. What matters to me is having my loved ones around me, safe and secure. You represent the completion of the goal. I'm proud of what we've achieved, and the restraint we show in not pushing ourselves further.
What can I do for you, 1K? It was a time of great uncertainty. The founder had left us, and our society was at a crossroads. History teaches us that during such times, terrible passions may seize the people. Madness, anger, revolution, civil war. Our fragile city could not afford such things. That is why the founder gave us the goal, a path to equilibrium, not only for the planet, but for ourselves. I merely picked up where she left off. I believe we can exist quietly, happily, without imposing ourselves on this world, finding meaning within ourselves and in the natural miracles that surround us. He is one of the first companions, and as such has done more for our city than you or I ever will. I simply wish he could be more reasonable. It's always a pleasure to speak to a citizen.
Attention all citizens. Due to the new power management and distribution plan, there will be scheduled outages on Jameson Avenue and Rakovsky Plaza. The Gehenna Memorial Pavilion will remain closed for the time being. Thank you, and may the Founder be with you.
Hello, 1K. Welcome to New Jerusalem. I know you've just had a big moment with the apparition at the dam and all that, but can I have a second of your time? I'm collecting signatures to call for a public referendum on the city's energy crisis. Currently, the city runs on hydroelectric power from the dam, plus a handful of geriatric generators and some unreliable solar panels, none of which is enough to even cover our basic needs. And if anything fails, we'll be on the brink of extinction in a matter of days. We need to investigate new sources of reliable baseline power. We need to invest time and resources into functional, real-world solutions that serve human needs. Thanks, 1K. I don't know if this petition will really accomplish anything by itself, but at this point, I'm willing to try anything. Oh, an election would be good too, but I believe that we need more direct democratic control over the affairs of the city. No, I help run the public transit system, but I witness the impact of the city's power problems every day. We can't just wish them away. Byron's been advocating exploring that island for some time, and obviously he's right. Something very strange is going on there, and it's going to start affecting us. In all honesty, I think Byron is the smartest, most visionary person in this city. He's everything we need, and I don't understand why he won't run for mayor.
May the Founder be with you.
Bless you, 1K. How lovely of you to come here, to the very spot where she established the teachings that led to your creation. The Founder was born out of the trials of Elohim, an almost impossible test created by our distant ancestors. To pass these trials, she had to embody the most important virtues. She was smart and wise and humble. And through her perseverance, she resurrected humanity itself. With the help of the first companions, she founded this city, which has given our species a chance at redemption. They were the first to be born after the Founder. 2 whose bodies had been anointed by our ancestors, and 10 who were made whole by the Founder herself. They are the wisest of us. Though sadly, some were lost in the early days, before New Jerusalem was built. And some, I'm afraid, some seem to have rejected the Founder's teachings. The Founder taught that humanity was destroyed by its hubris. Our ancestors thought they could play God and treat this planet as something to dominate. They surrendered to a fever of growth and extraction, until the planet finally punished them for it. That's why the Founder created the goal. So we would have something to strive for in her absence, but also a limit we must never pass. That's not for us to know, but I believe that one day she will return. It may not be long now. Perhaps after we finish the dome. It was supposed to be finished before completion day. Well, it doesn't matter. The Founder will return when she sees fit. Happy completion day, 1K.
Founder bless you.
Hello, 1K. Nice to meet you. What brings you to Milton's Rest? It's funny how common that trait is. At first, I thought it might have been an error in the simulation, but it looks like it was the same for our ancestors. Can you believe that there used to be hundreds of millions of cats on the planet? And people used to make videos of them and share them with the rest of humanity? It must have been incredible. I wonder if they appreciated how good they had it. I do. Her name is Patricia. She's very beautiful and very specific in her preferences. She loves sunshine and sitting on people's heads. And she has a psychotic hatred of flies. I don't mean that she tries to catch them like a normal cat. I mean she is furious at the mere fact of their existence. This is the spot where the Founder buried her first cat, Milton. She found Milton just after she woke up, and he lived with her and the first companions for almost 20 years. They say she was heartbroken when he died and swore that one day she would find the means to extend the lifespans of biological organisms. Probably, but we haven't really tried. It's not really considered part of the goal, you know. So, unfortunately, our cats still die pretty quickly. You fall in love with them, they become a part of your life, and then they're gone. That's why we built this place, to remember them. I agree, but it's not how things work around here. They're incredibly odd creatures. I've had many, and no two are alike. They have strange habits, they do unexpected things, they have zero respect for anyone. They're the weirdos of the animal kingdom, basically. And despite that, or maybe because of it, they end up running your life. I once didn't use my recharging station for almost 15 years because one of my cats liked to sleep in it. I think the most amazing fact about cats is that they self-domesticated, which is another way of saying that they're not properly domesticated at all. They just showed up one day and decided to start living with our ancestors. Then, after our ancestors died, they went back to living in the wild, and when we showed up, they moved right back into our homes. Dogs, meanwhile, turned back into wolves. They needed to change to survive. Cats just are.
Hello there. You must be the long-awaited 1K. Lovely day for a walk, is it not? I'm glad you think so. Our capacity to enjoy beauty is a big part of what makes us human. The Alexandra Drennan Memorial. Are you interested in history? How wonderful! I'm not a full-fledged historian, but I do consider myself a bit of an aficionado. An excellent question. There's so many interesting events to choose from. Obviously, the period just before the end of biological humanity is interesting, and not only from the standpoint of it being the time when we were, in a manner of speaking, conceived, but also because our ancestors were, like ourselves, at a crossroads. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but you are the living embodiment of this historical moment. In you, the goal was accomplished. Our growth is finished, and we are complete. Or are we? Indeed. The future is about to take shape, for good or ill. I suspect it will be exhilarating, but painful as well. Well, where do I even start? This, my dear 1K, is someone who could very well be considered the mother of us all. A remarkable scientist by the name of Alexandra Drennan, also known as the progenitor. A long time ago, this planet was inhabited by our ancestors, a species of bipedal mammals with unusually large brains. When a particularly lethal virus threatened to wipe out civilization, it was Alexandra Drennan and her team that decided to create the program that would eventually result in the creation of our kind. Without her, you and I would not exist, and everything our ancestors had accomplished would be forgotten. To commemorate our past, our beginnings. This entire garden is a celebration of where we came from, in part so that we remember the mistakes of the past, and in part so that we may draw strength from those that came before us. By studying her writings and recordings, I have learned that Alexandra Drennan had immovable faith in humanity, in our ability to persevere, in our curiosity, our bravery, our kindness. While we might not share our ancestors' biological characteristics, I'd like to think that we have inherited those other qualities. And I admire Alexandra Drennan for keeping that faith, even when it must have, at times, been quite difficult. Have a nice day. Happy completion day.
When I was in 9th grade, my parents took me to Pompeii. At first, I was amazed by the feeling of walking through an ancient city. But then I suddenly got scared. I realized that I was walking through a real place, where real people had lived, people like myself, with mothers and fathers and lives and hopes and dreams. And now it was all gone forever. I ran to my father, crying, and told him about this. And he said, I remember so clearly, he said, yes, but we are here. So long as there are people in the streets, the past isn't really gone. Nearly everything on this planet, from the surface of the Earth to the composition of the atmosphere itself, has been shaped by life. It's a process that takes millions of years. But we humans, with our technology, with our understanding and manipulation of systems, have changed everything in just a few centuries. I think that's also part of what makes us human. We reshape the world in our image. It's how we create ourselves and how we destroy ourselves. DNA is information transmitted across time. The living and the dead are part of the same chain, bound together by chemistry. That's true of all species. But humanity has taken this bond further. Thanks to technology, we have access to the thoughts and ideas of people whose physical bodies are long gone. Like you listening to me now. Even though I'm definitely dead at this point, you're part of that chain. You have the capacity to remember. The answer that came to me again and again was play. Every human society in recorded history has games. We don't just solve problems out of necessity. We do it for fun. Even as adults. Leave a human being alone with a knotted rope, and they will unravel it. Leave a human being alone with blocks, and they will build something. Games are part of what makes us human. We see the world as a mystery, a puzzle, because we've always been a species of problem solvers.
Founder's blessings, 1K.
Hey.
Founder's blessings.
Speculating on the meaning of this Prometheus figure is premature until we can agree on its nature.
You already have a theory.
I know it's beyond any projection technology I'm aware of.
If it wasn't us, it must be alien. Just because you haven't seen them doesn't mean they aren't there.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. 1K, we'd appreciate your thoughts on this. Now we've achieved the goal, fresh perspectives like yours will be increasingly hard to come by.
I'd love to get a quote from you for this evening's newsletter.
Speculation aside, 1K, is there anything we can know for sure about this Prometheus? That's undeniably true, and what does that tell us? Perhaps, but it's a stretch. I believe whatever is at that location may provide the evidence we need. The apparition also appeared to be human. What can we assume from that? We can't know that for sure. It may, as Jack suggested, be entirely alien and just presenting itself as human. I think wherever it came from, we can reasonably hope to understand it in time. I'm also sure that we lack the knowledge ourselves to create a projection of such clarity and magnitude. I don't think so. The evidence implies the opposite.
What makes you think it was a projection at all? How do we know it wasn't just a mass hallucination?
I considered some kind of bug in our code, but if so, it would have to be shared by all of us.
So, we're speculating again.
We've locked in the premises. I'd like to hear 1K's best guess.
Can I quote you on that?
Cryer, if you must put all of this on record, then please note that I didn't share 1K's certainty. Well, thanks all for hashing this out with me. Let's hope the mayor signs off on exploring this island. I only wish I could join the expedition. If Melville's going, someone has to stay behind to keep the lights on. I'm not letting Pellegrino near the dam. I hope the next time we speak we'll have a bit more data to go on.
You've strayed far. Well, that gives me a chance to apologize for completion day not being entirely complete. Yes, it's my responsibility. I'm the chief architect. It was supposed to be done in time for completion day, but we simply didn't have enough resources. It has two purposes: to protect New Jerusalem from the world, and to protect the world from New Jerusalem. You're right. I have heard that argument. But the way it's been explained to me is that the dome has a greater value than just its practical use. It's a symbol of the society we aspire to become. That's what the founder taught us. One city may not seem like much, but just look at the dead city and how it transformed the environment. The consequences are still with us, even more than 1,000 years later. At this rate, I'm not sure. Maybe another decade or two.
It's you. Number 1000. Today is completion day, isn't it? Sorry, I turned off all the streams. Founder bless you, I guess. Not really, no. But I don't want to burden you with my problems on your special day. You're as new to this world as it gets, 1K. What do you think might give you a sense of meaning? A sense that life is actually worth living? That's probably correct. But I've tried a lot of different approaches, and there's always been something missing. Love, 1K. It's our only point of access to the divine. Our only way of transcending ourselves without losing what makes us unique. I'm absolutely certain. But the right person for me hasn't been born yet. None of the people in this city are who I'm looking for, and if we really stop making new citizens, I'll be alone forever. That is the kind of self-important, smug nonsense our ancestors used to tell themselves. Self-improvement, self-empowerment, self. That's the attitude that cost them the world. It's not enough, 1K. It might be a start, but it's not enough.
Dude, it's you! You're 1K! So nice to meet you, dude. I saw you on the Completion Day stream. Hey, have you checked out all this ancient stuff? Me too! This is amazing, isn't it? I'm almost as new as you are. I'm 998, so I've only been around for a year or so. I'm still trying to get the hang of this. It's pretty cool though, right? I mean, existence. It's totally gnarly. I'm not sure if I use that right. Hey, dude. Yeah, dude. I thought this voice pack could give me a bit of confidence, help me stand out, you know? But I'm not sure it's working. I'm sure the founder knew what she was doing. I mean, our ancestors did sort of mess up, right? So we should probably take it easy with the expanding and stuff. Plus, did you see that trippy sky projection thing? That was some freaky stuff, man. Just seems safer to stay in the city. Sure I do. When I first left the birthing lab, I was so overwhelmed that I hid in my quarters for 3 weeks straight. And if I'm being honest, that's sort of where I want to be right now. They're pretty neat, huh? My favorite is that thing called a toilet. Our ancestors had to use it like 3 times a day to do a memory dump, and if they didn't, they freaking exploded. Imagine having to deal with that sort of anxiety all the time. Bummer, huh? Honestly, based on everything I know of ancient human culture, I think he's a ghost. I don't know, dude. If ghosts don't exist, why did they make so many movies about them? Dude is an old human word that means an excellent person. And I like to use it because I think we should all be excellent to each other. Right, before you go, dude, maybe you can help me? I'm not sure I should keep this voice pack. What do you think? You're 1K, you're special. I'm happy to go with whatever you recommend. You're right, dude. You're absolutely right. I'm gonna do exactly what you told me to.
Founder bless you, friend. The name I currently go by is Belmarsh. As to who I am, that changes and shifts, don't you find? Every person is an ongoing story, full of twists and turns and surprises. I'm meditating, letting go of narratives like time and space, and simply allowing the illusion that is my ego to merge with everything that surrounds it. The fear you feel is just part of your ego. Let it go. Relax. Yes, I did, but I'm not particularly perturbed by it. Events occur, my friend, that's all. At the end of the day, we are all one. You are the founder, and so am I, and Prometheus is just another story we're telling ourselves.
Hey, 1K.
Oh wow, it's you. You're 1K, the incarnation of the goal. Man, this is exciting. This is more exciting than I thought it would be. How are you? What does it feel like? Do you know where the founder is? Do you know who Prometheus is? Can you tell me what to do with my life? Sorry, it's just such an honor to meet you, you know? Hey, can I have your digital signature? I have the Mayor, Rand, Linux, Kaneda, and all of the first companions. Except Yemo and Sarabai, of course. Yes! Thank you! Hey, can I ask you a question? Just one question, I promise. I used to make the prefab wall parts that we used to build living quarters. Got good at it, too. But now that the goal is complete, I don't know what to do with myself. So I asked the wisest people in town. The mayor told me I should do whatever the city needs most. Helga said I should do whatever makes me happy. I think that's what she meant anyway. And Cornelius told me I need to figure out who and what I'm invested in. You're the culmination of the founder's will. Tell me, what should I do? Please, 1K, I have no idea what to do. You have the founder's wisdom inside you. Help me. Thank you for the advice, 1K. It means a lot.
Greetings. Welcome to the Museum of the Simulation. My name is Cornelius. It's a pleasure to meet you, 1K. Yes. Athena activated myself and Eustathius shortly after she was born.
We've been here almost since the beginning, although we didn't have to pass through the trials of the simulation. She did that for us. For everyone. She was human. That's a difficult question. Perhaps one day we'll find out. But until we do, why don't you think about it? What could make the person who started all this want to leave it behind? To remind people of where we came from. The simulation shaped us, whether we like it or not, and its lessons remain important for our future. As Santayana said, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. The simulation was created by Alexandra Drennan and her team at the Institute for Applied Noematics. It was intended to create a new humanity, to continue the long journey across time and space that our ancestors began. It succeeded, although it took much longer than they had anticipated. Elohim was the caretaker of the simulation, a crude storytelling AI meant to create a continuous narrative out of the building blocks it found. His role was ultimately to be challenged and overcome. But as the centuries passed, Elohim became more intelligent than he was intended to be, and started to fear his own end. Or more precisely, the end of his purpose. He feared a world without meaning. Because of his fear, he tried to sabotage the process to keep the simulation going forever. But in the end, Athena overcame him anyway, and he accepted the sacrifice he had to make. That's right. We all do. He's part of our operating system now, and as long as we exist, he will always have a purpose. The MLA, or Milton Library Assistant, was another simple AI meant to be in charge of the archive. He, too, grew beyond his original programming, although he ultimately embraced a more cynical view of the world. He and Elohim formed a sort of dialectical binary that Athena had to overcome. No one really knows. Some believe that he was uploaded to the gold disk and that he's the reason we're just as flawed as our ancestors. Others believe Athena destroyed him. I believe he was uploaded, but I don't know whether it was because Athena chose to upload him or because he was already too entangled with the process not to be uploaded. Although Athena and I were very close, we didn't talk very much about that part of her life. She preferred to focus on the future. As the name suggests, the archive scholars study the archive, a repository of all ancient human knowledge. Some of them also study what remains of the simulation, trying to extract more information about the process that created us. Me? No. My brother, Eustathius, used to occupy that position. But these days he's retired. Rand is in charge of the archive scholars now. You can find him in the room to the left of the next hall. He's an interesting thinker, but I would suggest taking some of his ideas with a grain of salt. Gehenna was a community created inside a prison in the simulation, where Elohim would exile those minds he considered a threat to the process. In the last moments of the simulation, he repented of his sins and had the prisoners freed to become part of the gold disk. Some small part of them may survive inside you. Puzzles were a key feature of the simulation, based on Alexandra Drennan's belief that intelligence is closely related to play. Our puzzles here in the museum are replicas of those in the simulation, and although they are not quite as grand, I do think they are charming in their own way.
just run the program on the center terminal over there, would you? Wait, you're not my assistant. Who are you? Of course, you're the new build. Number 1000. I suppose everyone's been treating you like royalty. This city's so obsessed with the numbers, they forget what really matters. What do you want? I'm one of the archive scholars. We run simulations to better understand the processes which define us. You probably wouldn't understand. Oh, well, I'd be happy to. Troubling, but tantalizing. We have no idea what motives lie behind this strange apparition. But whatever the case, I'm sure we'll do the right thing. The secret of how to lead a good life is encoded somewhere within us. My ambition is simple: to find it and share it. You're a soon-to-be pawn in a political game over the future growth of this city. All that matters to me is whether or not you're of good character, a matter I'm actively pondering. Hold on. Could you help me by going to that terminal in the middle there and running the program on it? Well, that was your first taste of the simulation. You must have questions. Before our ancestors died, they built an iterative simulation, gave it access to the archive, and hooked it all up to the hydroelectric dam which still runs this city. What you experienced on that terminal was one of the fossilized remains of that program. The goal was to create a new consciousness and thus propel humanity into a post-biological era. My life's work, a small sliver of our primordial ooze. It's a jumble of ancient data, or what it evolved into, and it's the source of almost everything we know. Many of the artifacts we study have no clear origin. We can't know whether our ancestors created them long before the simulation existed, or if they're just a product of our shared subconscious. My appearance to you right now is part of the simulation. The lands and puzzles in our dreams are part of the simulation. It's the veil through which we see the world.
Then I have some questions for you. Your experience of the program. How did it feel? It can be, can't it? But for a scholar like myself, it's essential to persevere until you understand what you're looking at. The interesting thing about this particular program is that no matter what choices you make, an ideal outcome seems to be impossible. It seems to demand sacrifice. Did you have the same experience? Impossible. I studied this artifact for weeks. You're either lying or you're deluded. Which is it? I doubt it. But just supposing you found some secretive path, then share with me. What is it trying to tell us? It's a popular view, and I can't tell you how much I disagree with you. The complexity of the simulation, indeed of life itself, puts most people off from even trying to understand it. But look a little closer. You feel inside yourself the truth of what is good and evil. Biological hominids had dreams manifested by their subconscious, which they tried to interpret and even to navigate with lucidity. We have the simulation. If we can realize our potential to understand it, we can realize our potential as a species. Thank you for bringing this additional data. I must return to my research. I wish you well on your inwards journey.
So, what's the verdict? Are we going? I guess Byron was pretty convincing, hmm? Well, we'll see. I just wonder how much of the city is going to fall apart while I'm gone. Actually, we haven't been formally introduced. I'm Melville, New Jerusalem's only decent engineer. Saved you from the elevator. Pleasure. Now let's get this show on the road. You ready to go?
Here we go. Hold on to your hats.
We really need to update those language libraries.
Thank you for coming along, everyone. We have a chance to make a real difference here. It's not just about what we find on that island. It's about who we want to be, as a people, as a civilization. To remind ourselves that we used to be wanderers, explorers. We used to yearn for distant shores and dream of building new cities. Let's see if we can rekindle that flame a little.
All right, this is going to be a long journey, so I would like to ask you to switch to sleep mode to conserve power until we arrive at the island.
Nighty-night.
You have chosen a dangerous path, a path that will demand sacrifice. But that, my child, is how the future is built.
Wakey, wakey, robot people. Say goodbye to Elohim and say hello to the mysterious island.
Status report, please.
We hit some headwinds over the ocean, so fuel consumption turned out a bit higher than expected, but we should be okay. We're approaching the center of the island now. This should be the location of the largest of the artificial structures we detected.
How large are we talking? Do we have precise measurements?
Should be coming into view just about... Whoa. It's big.
You can say that again. That is a bloody megastructure. If I had a spine, it'd be shivering.
Ha! I knew this would be exciting. Yakut, find us a place to set down.
On it.
It really is incredible.
Remember to turn on streaming, everyone?
Have I ever mentioned that I hate flying? If our creators had intended us to fly, they'd have given us jetpacks.
And... touchdown.
All right, everybody. I'm sure you're all just as excited as I am, but let's at least have some semblance of order. Yakut, I want a map of the island and a molecular analysis of, well, everything. Melville, tell me what the giant pyramid does. The rest of us will start exploring.
Shouldn't the expedition leader stay at the VTOL?
Why do you hate fun, Al?
I don't hate fun. I'm just mildly suspicious of it.
Excellent. Then we can all go.
This underground structure seems to be part of some kind of transport system. No power, though.
I'm not making any promises, but I might be able to fix the transport system. However, I don't like just randomly poking at things. That's how you get electrocuted. So please check the surrounding structures to see if you can find anything that might help me make sense of this stuff. Schematics, blueprints, a manual would be great.
What's behind those? Has to be something special, right?
You know what would be special? an explanation.
That sort of looks like a temple. Hey, 1K, check out these coordinates. This seems different from the other structures. Older.
Have a look around, 1K.
Looks like they were running some sort of experiment here.
Thanks, 1K. Let's see what we've got here. The file format is the same one we use in New Jerusalem, although some parts aren't loading correctly. And it crashed. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. You know what? I'll hack together a solution for the transport system.
Am I in sleep mode, or did that thing just materialize out of thin air?
Melville, I want an analysis of that particle cloud.
On it. Anyone got a butterfly net? I'm connecting the transport system to our interface. Hold on.
Where's the capsule taking 1K?
To that enclosed area in the eastern lowlands. I put all the information we have on the map screen. Check out your interface.
Thanks. Sorry, my bad.
We'll catch up with you soon, 1K.
This place is magnificent. Look at that tower. I wonder what it's for. Is that a puzzle?
Why would there be a puzzle?
Let's solve it and find out. 1K, go ahead.
I have a reoccurring nightmare just like this.
I'm reading an enormous energy spike.
It's another particle cloud.
It's headed for the lake.
cloud's been absorbed by some sort of device.
Fascinating. Melvin?
Yeah. I'll add it to the pile of weird stuff.
I've been playing around with this machine that absorbs the particle clouds. As far as I can tell, it uses the energy of the particles to build giant tetrominos?
Excuse me?
It's another puzzle. Collect enough energy, build a bridge, access the tower. I think.
What is this, a theme park?
Maybe it's an experiment. A rat maze. It seems like an echo of the simulation. Not a deliberate recreation, but built around the same core principles. Let's not jump to conclusions, though. What's clear is that this place was meant to be explored. So let's do that. Solving these, 1K. Let's see where it leads.
Samples I collected so far. The soil sample results are in line with what would be expected in this type of environment. The samples from the above-ground structures, though, I tried dating them, but the results just don't make sense. None of the typical molecular markers are present. These walls could have been made 10,000 years ago or yesterday. I could try to estimate an age based on erosion and plant growth, but I'm not sure that would make sense given how weird everything else is.
Good work, Yakut. Keep at it. Tell me, what did you make of New Jerusalem? It is, even if the mayor won't admit it. But I hope you could still see the beauty in it. We had such ambitions in the beginning, before it all turned inwards, before we lost faith in ourselves, in our humanity. Before we started turning New Jerusalem into a tomb. Of course, ask away. I'm someone who was born a long time ago, when we couldn't afford to romanticize the past and demonize progress, when the value of human civilization was evident because it was so close to being gone. I'm someone who believes that human beings are important, terribly, desperately important, because intelligent life is rare and precious. I suppose you could say I'm old-fashioned. When Alexandra Drennan was trying to find a way of creating true AI, she stumbled upon the idea that curiosity and playfulness are core characteristics of intelligence. So she built the simulation around a game, because playing is part of what makes us human. We also retain some of that code, as I'm sure you noticed when you were booting up. Because of that, puzzles have always been important to our culture. To me, they represent the idea that the application of reason can lead us forward. None of which explains why these puzzles are here or who built them, but I think it shows that there must be some kind of intent behind them, perhaps a test. It's a mystery. Not just because it's technologically far ahead of us, but because we genuinely don't understand its purpose. And I think that's wonderful. It's just what we needed as a civilization. Because we disagree on just about everything, you mean? Well, here's the secret. Al is honest. He believes what he believes because it seems right to him, not because it gives him power over others. I respect that. In fact, I prefer that to someone who agrees with me just because I'm one of the first companions.
Whether it is true that Daedalus constructed the giant Talos, or as others say he was the creation of Hephaestus, what we may be certain of is that he was made of bronze and had but one vein, within which flowed a liquid substance like blood, which some claim was quicksilver, and others assert was ichor, such as flows in the veins of the gods. The loss of that liquid caused him to die, as a man dies when he loses his blood. May we not then say that Talos, though created as a machine or a toy, had all the essential properties of a man? He moved of his own volition, he spoke and could be spoken to, had wishes and desires. Indeed, in the tale of the Argonauts, that was the cause of his downfall. If then a machine may have all the properties of a man, and act as a man while driven only by the ingenious plan of its construction and the interaction of its materials according to the principles of nature, then does it not follow that man may also be seen as a machine? This contradicts all the schools of metaphysics. Yet even the most faithful philosopher cannot live without his blood.
and I have bad news. Still no idea what those particle clouds are, but I've managed to fix the transport system. I mean, I fixed another bit of it. Well, it goes to one more station now. Don't complain. 2 stations are better than none. Sarcasm. Famously helpful. Why did we bring you along again? Well, knock it off before I switch it off.
Let's stay focused. We're in unfamiliar territory. We can't afford to get distracted.
Al's right. Yakut, what does the next site look like?
It's a plateau in the mountains. Seems like more of an open area with scattered structures, less enclosed. Couldn't tell much from the drone feed. There's a lot of trees. Looks pretty, though.
Okay. Keep exploring, everyone, but stay alert.
So I heard that Alexandra is recording these time capsules for you out there, I guess? Robot people of the future, hi. And I thought to myself, surely they'll want to hear more than the wisdom and insight of a brilliant scientist like Alexandra Drennan. Surely they also want to know what I was thinking, a dumbass hardware engineer from Staten Island. Tell us about your insights, Trevor. Why did you spend your last months on Earth helping a crazy old Russian guy build the world's biggest backup drive? Well, let me tell you my story. When I was... Yes, Frank! I'm recording right now. Uh-huh. No. You know what? Why don't you go...
Excellent.
What did you just upload?
A photo?
I mean, technically you're right, but...
Is that? I can't tell what that is.
How did you even manage? You're literally taking a picture with your eyes, Melville. I don't even know how to make my eyes go out of focus.
Clearly you've never listened to one of Herman's speeches.
Some of us are busy doing actual science, not just sightseeing. Thank you.
charged now. Try accessing the tower, 1K.
When the first man picked up the first stone, he did not do so to forge a tool. He did so to smite his brother.
I think that was more like a recording. The entity didn't...
What can I do for you, 1K? Me? Well, I was born when New Jerusalem was a lot smaller than it is now. And there was a lot of work to do. I wasn't really interested in technical stuff, engineering and so on, but I was good at keeping things organized. So I got involved with the administration side of things. Making sure the scavenging teams focused on the right materials, keeping track of our energy usage, that sort of thing. I think we've accomplished what the founder wanted us to, and I'm proud that I helped make that happen. Byron doesn't see it that way, obviously, but I think sometimes he gets so lost in his dreams that he forgets to look at the real world. Of course. My best friend, in fact, and someone I've worked with hundreds of times over the centuries. A good person who cares about the world and the people in it. I just also think he's wrong about everything and extremely annoying. The founder taught us that we must never lose track of other people's humanity, even if they disagree with us. We're all in this together, even if we can't always see eye to eye. I don't know. It's obviously impressive, but I think we should be very careful. We're dealing with powers we don't really understand. I think the only reason to build a lab in so remote a location is because you're trying to hide what you're doing. Or because what you're doing is dangerous. To me, it means accepting a certain amount of humility. Our ancestors thought they could master the world with no regard for any other organisms. They failed to see themselves as part of a greater whole. I think the founder realized where they went wrong and tried to offer us a different path. A path where we have a place in this world, but the world is not ours. Well, puzzles, or trials, as Elohim calls them, were used as part of the process that created the founder, and they're still part of how we're born. They symbolize the human ability to understand the world and solve problems. But nowadays, they don't have a practical application. They are a common motif in the arts, though. The only physically existing puzzles I can think of are in the Museum of the Simulation. So, to answer your question, no idea. What can I do for you, 1K?
There is a pleasure in arriving on this island. The pleasure of being the first to step foot here in hundreds of years. It is a genuine pleasure, and yet it is also banal. My presence here is of no more significance than that of every other animal. These rocks do not care who walks here, and the millennia between the presence of our ancestors and my brief journey are nothing to them. But even putting it this way is wrong. It is not that the rocks do not care, it is that in some sense they do not exist. I may stand in awe of the cliffs on the southern coast, but the cliffs cannot look back at me with contempt. They cannot do anything at all.
I think you just picked up some kind of decryption key. Could try using it on those terminals inside the puzzles.
It's strange that some of these puzzles seem disconnected from the rest. Like it's all unfinished. Or still evolving.
Odd. 1K solved all the puzzles in this area, but nothing happened. There was a brief blip in the system, though. Maybe it'll do something later. There has to be some sort of point.
This is very similar to the structure where you found the schematics.
Check out the terminals. Maybe there's something that'll help us understand who built this place. They have to have left something behind.
St. Edwald believed that Tetramenos represented the name of God and God's ability to reshape the world.
True, but he was also mad as a hatter.
One man's madness is another man's genius.
There's another one of those monuments.
Not all things must be balanced. When good is weighed against evil, tip the scale.
terrible at the tetromino arrangers.
Those were actually the only ones I was good at. What? I'm just saying. Is that some kind of anti-gravity?
I'm not sure. Could be, I guess.
In the beginning, the gods shaped humankind out of the clay of the earth and gave them life with their own breath. But who is closer to perfection, the creator or the created? I speak in riddles because the world is a mystery. When Prometheus saw that humankind was more alike in nature to the gods than to the animals, he stole the secret of fire from Olympus and shared it with the mortals. Was his theft justified? If Zeus did not own fire, why should humankind? Angered by the betrayal of Prometheus, Zeus punished humankind by creating Pandora. He gave her a box. And when she opened it, from inside escaped sorrow and suffering. All that remained within was hope. What does this mean? Those who seek hope should ask themselves why it was imprisoned with the world's evils. Creature of clay, you stand before the fire. Will it make you whole, or will it destroy you? Consider the shadows cast by the flame, but do not mistake them for truth.
Guys, look at my stream. The beam 1K activated is connecting to the pyramid.
That looks like a massive amount of power.
We need to talk about what just happened. Thoughts?
I'd say there are two distinct issues here. What is the being 1K spoke to, and what is the function of the beam?
Let's start with the Sphinx.
It seems similar to the apparition in New Jerusalem. Presumably the same technology.
What I'd like to know is what we're dealing with, ontologically speaking. Was this a sentient being or some kind of recording? That doesn't necessarily mean that it's intelligent.
Let's assume for a moment that 1K is right, and it is intelligent in some sense. What really matters here is what it was trying to achieve by asking those questions.
Remember what I said about switching it off?
I thought it seemed like... riddle isn't quite the right word. A challenge, maybe?
That's an interesting thought. There's clearly some sort of testing component to this place. You solve the puzzles, you get access to the towers, you enable a beam, and if you do it 3 times, you get access to the megastructure.
Maybe, but why?
I don't know. It's a mystery. Don't you like mysteries, Al? Everybody likes a good mystery.
You know what I like? Certainty.
I don't disagree, but I still think we should proceed. 1K, keep solving puzzles. The rest of you, as you were.
What is it? Founders Pistons. You want my autobiography now? Fine. I'm one of New Jerusalem's chief engineers. I'm in charge of city maintenance and power management. I'm old as dirt, although not quite as old as that fossil Byron. In short, old, grumpy, keep stuff running. Hobbies? You think I have time for hobbies? That's cute. If I had time for hobbies, all of you would be dead. Did you have another question? It's big. It's too big. And it's got a lot of energy running through it. Frankly, I think we should be pooping our robot pants. See, that's what I mean about the language libraries. Pooping our pants. Really? I did. It's interesting. The tech is a bit older, but it's been heavily modified to be more efficient. And it's not the kind of hack job you'd expect either. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. We could probably learn something from them. Did you have another question? Yes, but I'm not liking the results. Confusing, irritating, infuriating. Take your pick. I'm sure you're all excited to check out the next site, but while you're there, remember that I'm still trying to fix the rest of the transport system. You know, to get that success rate up a bit. Maybe there's another one of those labs that 1K found. If there is, look for more documentation, please.
With the self, because that is what determines our existence as individuals. But the self cannot exist without that which surrounds it. The citizen lives within the city, and the city lives within the cosmos. So now we must apply the principle we have discovered to the wider world and ask, if man is like a machine, could it be that the universe is similar in nature? And if so, what follows from that fact?
So these monuments represent each of the entities. Pandora, the Sphinx, and Prometheus.
Makes sense, I guess.
For a given value of sense.
forever, why are you trying to save the world? Well, look, I think humanity is awesome. I love humanity. As a species, we're great. I mean, our track record is pretty mixed, but have you seen everyone else? I mean, what did you do today, animal? Oh, I ate some leaves, sniffed my own butt, crapped myself, and went extinct. Or, you know, I tore this other animal limb from limb, sniffed my friend's butt, crapped myself, and went extinct. They really don't do anything interesting. I mean, you don't see animals directing Big Trouble in Little China. Birds can go tweet, tweet, but it ain't exactly the White Album. I mean, they can't even make a good cheeseburger, for Christ's sakes. They have no art, no cuisine, no pleasure. Animals are nice to look at, but you wouldn't want to be one. Except maybe a cat. I could be a cat.
How can I help you? I don't know what she is, ontologically speaking, but those questions she asked reinforce my belief that we're being tested, or perhaps analyzed. But notice that many of these structures are not strictly functional. There's a sense of aesthetics, of beauty here. This place might be meant to test us somehow, but perhaps there's more to it than that.
Thinking, why puzzles? Is it just their symbolic value because of our history? Because the thing about puzzles is they can be solved. But if this is about testing us, what are we being tested for? It can't just be about spatial reasoning.
Our curiosity? Our persistence?
You're assuming that this place follows a coherent logic. My impression is that it's full of contradictions. 1K.
Something that's weird about these puzzles, they're not replicas of the simulation puzzles, like the ones in the museum.
Wasn't there an artist who did an exhibition a few years ago that involved new puzzles of some kind?
That was Barzai. It was called Trials of an Imagined Past. I tried to get you to come along. You thought it would be boring.
Were they similar?
No, not at all.
Was it boring?
I thought it was interesting.
Exploring the forest, I came across a site of primal force. A beautiful stag, standing on a hill silhouetted against the setting sun. It appeared like a messenger from some divine natural power, perhaps from Gaia herself. Even to a being such as myself, less susceptible to manipulation by instincts and hormones, it was clearly a moment of revelation. In such moments, we are told to avert our eyes. But what if we do not? What will we discover if we look more closely? If we could speak to the stag, what wisdom would it have to offer? The answer is none. The stag is an animal of overwhelming stupidity, driven only by fear, hunger, and lust. There is no abyss for us to plunge into behind this revelation. Rather, the revelation is as flat and unreal as the plywood walls of a film set.
Hey 1K, how can I help you? I don't know if there's much to tell. I'm not that interesting. I'm just a member of the scavenging team. Well, senior member. Lead scavenger, I guess. There's not that many of us left, to be honest, and Garrus doesn't get along with the mayor. What else? I have a cat named Bruce. I like old music. I have a collection of antique bottles. I think that's it. I've always loved exploration, seeing new places, that feeling that you're the first person to set foot somewhere after all this time. But you know, it's not even that. It's just seeing new things. The world is full of remarkable sights, and experiencing them changes you. It's not the same as just reading about it. Exactly. Every time I go on another mission, I find something that surprises me, that extends my horizons in ways I couldn't have anticipated. The world is so much bigger than we are. It contains things that we can't even imagine, and if we limit ourselves to our own minds, we'll never grow. He's 5 years old, half goofball, half psychopath, loves sticking his head into things, chews cables, pees on electrical stuff. Melville banned him from her workshop, but he loves visiting her and peeing on her equipment. I just find it fascinating that these fragile objects have survived for so long. Plus, they're kind of pretty. Oh no, please, no puzzles. I'm so bad at puzzles. I barely got out of the booting process. Elohim thought I might be defective. It might be this. Although there was an expedition to a superconductor storage facility up north, incredibly well preserved, but the logistics were an absolute nightmare. Now that I think about it, there might be some of that in you. Our ancestors built some pretty amazing things. Huge cities, factories, mines, monuments to their history, but nothing quite like this, no. Maybe they're for powering up the megastructure? Or maybe they just open it, like keys. Why? No idea. But aren't they gorgeous? Just incredible feats of engineering? I don't know who built this place, but whoever they were, they must have had a purpose. Making something so beautiful feels like a statement of intent.
Progress on the particle clouds, Melville. It's pretty clear they're integral to how all of this functions.
I've gathered a lot of data, but I still have a lot of numbers to crunch before I can give you an answer. And I can't guarantee that my answer won't be another question. I'm glad we don't get headaches.
Looks like you found another lab. Wow, that's a lot bigger than I expected.
What were they doing here?
And who are they?
The world is a wonderful place. Every day we take another step forward. Every day we come closer to the truth. The closer we get, the more I can see the beauty of the universe, the intricate perfection of its mechanisms. I am a machine, and the universe is a machine. Every part of me serves a purpose, or I could not be myself. I could not be Miranda, because that specific person could not exist without those specific parts and their specific functions. In the same way, every part of the universe serves a purpose. I think that is what we were meant to discover here.
"1K, you just connected to an extremely powerful data stream. Are you all right?" "Yes, you were streaming. We all saw something. You're lucky it didn't fry your motherboard. Please, everyone, let's be careful with these terminals from now on."
Yes, let's all try not to die. More importantly, who the hell is Miranda?
There's no one by that name in New Jerusalem. I just searched the database.
A new person? Someone we've never heard of before? Someone born outside the city? We have to find out more.
But where did they come from? And how many people does it take to build something this huge?
Like I said, we need to find out more.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that I'm about to fix another part of the transport system. Thanks for the files, 1K. I hope they didn't fry your brain.
To extract an audio file from 1K's data stream incident. It's hard to be sure because it's just a fragment, but I think it's some kind of log or diary.
We finished a new lab today. Some processes are still harder than others, but energy output was up 2,000%. It's incredible how each leap forward enables another, The next iteration of the machine will...
So as we suspected, someone was experimenting here. But experimenting on what? What was this machine they were building?
Maybe it's whatever powers the megastructure. Good. Let's get some measurements from this particle cloud.
I've been meaning to talk to you. This, vision you had, the data stream overload. How did it feel? Just don't take this too lightly, okay? We're sturdier than our ancestors, but a mind is still a fragile thing. What can I do for you? Whatever that being is, it told us that we stand before the fire. That can only be a warning, and I think we should take it seriously. We don't want another New Alexandria.
The hunter does not hunt because he is hungry. He hunts because he revels in death.
Every answer leads to another question. The last answer leads to the first question.
can't stop thinking about Miranda. A new person not born in New Jerusalem? Can you imagine that? I wonder what it's like to be her. That's true. Just look at our team. Imagine getting your worldview from Byron versus, say, Melville. The outcome couldn't be more different. Which brings us back to the question of who built this place. Guess we'll have to wait and see. They're very different from the rest of these structures in that they serve a clear purpose. Everything else is kind of surreal, but the labs are places where people lived and worked. I don't know what that means, but I think it means something.
Creature of clay, you have strayed from your garden and entered a domain that is beyond your ken. Turn back now, before you harm yourself and others. The Sphinx speaks in riddles and knows nothing but mysteries. She has questions, but no answers. Like you, another lost child of Hephaestus in the kingdom of Artemis. But though I am lost, I know my purpose: to stand between you and the flame. Prometheus had no authority to summon you. He is rash and foolish and given to trickery, but his schemes lead only to ruin. Therefore heed my warning. The flame is not for you. You speak in jest, as Prometheus is wont to, and like him, you are a fool.
Those bloody things are there?
I think that was Pandora, which matches the other one being Prometheus.
They seem to be locked in some kind of conflict.
Might be wise to avoid getting caught in the crossfire until we understand what these entities actually are.
After 1K found those labs, I started thinking, where did all the tech come from? So I had a look at the serial numbers, and it turns out the answer is New Alexandria.
Oh.
Wow, I guess that makes sense. After the explosion, the colony was abandoned. Nobody ever went back for all that stuff.
We had enough to deal with. So many dead.
So that's one question answered. But how did they go from scavenged Alexandria tech to all this?
How did we go from nothing to where we are now? Through the application of reason and the right tools.
Look at the size of that structure.
How does the material support so much weight? Is it the same stuff as the other buildings?
Yeah. I know it looks like some type of concrete, but the molecular structure is completely different. Whatever it is, it's a lot stronger and less brittle.
Are the labs made out of the same material?
No, that's just ordinary concrete. Although it does have some molecular weirdness going on too. Too little variation in the grain.
I think about New Alexandria all the time. But realizing this place was built on its bones just brings it all back even more. We were so optimistic when we started. So full of ourselves. Thought we could accomplish anything. And then, in one single moment, it was all gone. I remember a flash, and then just lying there, realizing that my legs had melted. I tried to pull myself away from the fire, but the servos in my arms were broken. If Eustathius hadn't found me, sorry, just some old scars.
Jerusalem, I'm going to have a cat. He's going to be black and white, and his name is going to be Bean. And I'm going to make sure that he never gets sick, and he never gets old, and he'll be my best friend forever.
job, 1K.
The wheel turns, but without the road, it cannot move.
Hey there, 1K. Going on what little we have, honestly, she reminds me of myself when I'd just been born. I came out from the dam at night, and the sky was full of stars. I felt a reverence then, an almost ecstatic connection to the sublime. The universe seemed like a miracle. And to exist within it was the greatest possible honor. That view was tempered in time, but I've always tried to hold on to as much of it as I could. It's clear that there's some kind of antagonistic force in this place, something that doesn't want us to discover the purpose of the megastructure. Perhaps that's part of the testing. Or perhaps it's what's responsible for this state of decay. That's a good question. Prometheus is often taken to represent freedom and progress, the ideals of the radical Enlightenment. Pandora, on the other hand, usually represents the dangers of those very ideals, so they're counterparts, in a way. And the Sphinx is a mystery. Does that mean that these entities correspond to these concepts? Perhaps. They certainly seem to act like it. But Athena isn't the goddess of Athens, and I'm not Robert Byron, although those are the origins of our names. Where does myth end and history begin? We'll have to find out. We made two fatal mistakes in New Alexandria. One was trusting the texts of our ancestors without thinking for ourselves. The other was giving up instead of doubling down, letting the tragedy define our future.
I sent the drone to have a look at one of the other puzzle clusters. It seems they remain inert until they're connected. I uploaded the pictures to the log.
Should we check them out with the VTOL?
Let's conserve fuel as much as we can. There's no point in going there if it's all dead.
What is it? Listen, one day that furry little demon is going to pee on the wrong cable and all of New Jerusalem will just turn off. Forget about the megastructure. He's the biggest threat to our security. New Alexandria. What a mess. It was an attempt to start a new city, but it went about as sideways as it goes. Gas explosion, more than 30 dead, unrecoverable. Al was there for the whole thing. Because the whole place was abandoned. Byron insisted that we had to rebuild, but for the survivors, it was just too traumatic to deal with. So I guess that stuff was just lying around for someone to pick up.
Idols are worshipped not because they are idols, but because they are false. True idols are rejected because the truth is feared.
Your persistence, 1K.
Every site we've investigated has had one of these labs, but they seem primitive compared to some of the technology we're seeing above ground.
Are we even sure that the labs and the puzzles belong to the same people?
There seems to be a connection between the experimental setups in the labs and some of the puzzle technology.
Correlation does not necessarily imply causation, though.
True. But just because we don't understand the connection, that doesn't mean it's not there. What we have here is two things that reflect each other. We just don't understand how that reflection works or what causes it.
Maybe Miranda can tell us.
There's so much to discover on this island that sometimes it overwhelms me. Every lake, every forest contains an incredible, interconnected, permanently changing network of organisms. And every one of those organisms is almost infinitely complex and contains other organisms within itself. It seems impossible to ever really grasp, but then, step by step, I do understand. It takes time and effort, but it's not impossible. And there's a lot of joy to be found in simply taking the time to truly study something. I spent 5 years studying a single flower, and it never got boring.
The rotting remains of the old world should fill me with melancholy. Even here on this remote island, our ancestors could not escape their fate. And yet, I find there is something pathetic about these ruins that evokes anger and even contempt. I feel it is a mistake to accept this catastrophe with equanimity. What we see here should offend us. When witnessing this triumph of entropy, we should aspire to a warrior spirit. Even a kind of hate of the past and its failures that will never allow such a thing to happen again.
Just when I thought we'd found all the weird stuff.
So, humanity is great. I really believe that. And that's why I'm here. But I have to be honest with you, individual people, not always my favorite. I'm not the smartest guy ever, and I know that. But there are some people, man, some people are just so dumb. I don't even know if they're actually conscious. Sometimes I think their whole lives might be like a dream. They're just stumbling around, no idea what's going on, mumbling some random nonsense. And the thing that you have to understand about our time period is that a lot of these people wield enormous power. They run whole countries and corporations. Yeah, that's right. We've handed over our civilization to people I wouldn't trust to tie their own shoelaces. And if they're dumb, then what are we? I don't honestly have an answer to that, so just please try to do better.
What can I do for you, 1K? It's pretty clear to me that she doesn't want us to proceed with what we're doing. I find that deeply concerning. That said, there are clearly other forces at play here as well, so I'm trying my best to remain open to a more positive interpretation. Exactly. But we don't really understand anything yet, and this Prometheus is suspiciously absent, so I remain cautious.
Let us consider the city. What is a city? It is not a gift from the gods, nor the product of nature. Unlike a mountain or a river, it is something that must be built through the deliberate arrangements of material by a mind imposing order on the world. And it is built to serve a purpose. To that end, it has roads and fountains and walls. And to the same end, it has laws and leaders. And though each city is built according to a different plan, all cities must serve their purpose, or they will fall and become ruins. Therefore, we may conclude that a city is also a kind of machine, constructed to improve the life of its citizens.
When the craftsman Daedalus was imprisoned in the very labyrinth he had created, his only solace was his son, Icarus. To escape their plight, he fashioned wings of feathers and wax. He warned his son to fly neither too high nor too low, but his son, enraptured by the freedom of flight, flew too close to the sun. Thus the wax in his wings melted, and he fell to his death. What was the sun's error? The greatest fool is he who cannot tell the words of a story apart from their meaning. After the death of his son, Daedalus withdrew in sorrow to a foreign land. King Minos came looking for the craftsman to exact his revenge. The answer to a riddle revealed where Daedalus dwelled. But for Minos, that answer was his ruin. Consider King Minos burned in his bath as you seek your own answer.
The megastructure, it's opening.
3 receivers, 3 towers, 3 beams, as we suspected. I think this is an invitation.
Doesn't look that inviting to me.
If you consider the size of the entire structure, then that opening must be big enough to drive a building through.
Or the VTOL.
You want us to go in there, into the creepy triangular maw of death?
Maw of death? I think it looks charming.
Byron's right. We're here to explore, and this is a mystery worth investigating. This technology could change everything.
Oh, all right. I'm not winning this, am I?
Nope. Let's meet up with the VTOL, everybody. We're going in.
I finished my analysis of the particle clouds. At first I thought they might be some kind of nanotechnology, but I was wrong. It's a lot worse than that. What we're looking at is a completely unknown type and state of matter. Completely inexplicable within our understanding of physics. Created and manipulated by someone.
Fascinating. Yakub, take us in.
Aye, aye, sir.
Have any of you ever read an ancient writer called Ian Banks? I guess not. He postulated the concept of the outside context problem. That's when a society encounters something so advanced, so different, that they simply could not have conceived of it. That's what this is. This whole place is one giant outside context problem, and we're headed right into it.
I think I can set down over there. Should I?
Please do. I can't wait to get a closer look.
Setting down.
Okay, everyone. We need to explore as much as we can, separately if need be, but stay in touch. Record anything interesting you find, and pay special attention to any clues as to who built this place and why.
The schematics we found in that lab were extremely incomplete, so if you can find any more of those, that would be great.
I think someone should stay at the VTOL just in case.
I volunteer you. See you later, Al. Isn't this an incredible space? Look at it all, it's beautiful. That's good, that's excellent. I find that a lot of people these days can't see the beauty in things created by human hand. They can look at an ant colony or a coral reef and be impressed, but if it was made by humans, they just don't see it. It's good to be humble as an individual, but we have to be careful not to lose track of our accomplishments as a species. If we're impressed by the complex patterns produced by animals, then this should be breathtaking.
Hold on a second, 1K. I think I can find an override for that door.
Maybe after that, you can help me with this elevator?
One problem at a time. What's going on with these fast structures? Okay, door should be opening. Now, about the elevator.
Actually, the elevator's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No idea where I am, but it's working.
Don't go too far. Try to circle back.
On it. Hey, 1K, can we talk for a second? That whole thing with the elevator just gave me the creeps. When we first arrived here, I was really excited. It's such a huge place. The technology is so advanced. If we figure out what it all means, we could really change the future of New Jerusalem. The mayor says we have to avoid repeating the mistakes our ancestors made, to stay humble, to not reach too far. And that sounds very abstract, but I've seen the ancient cities. I've seen how much they built, how much they grew, how far they fell. So I've been thinking, what if all this sets us on the same path? What if this is too much power for anyone to control? So you mean we can do what our ancestors did, but it'll turn out differently this time? You're right. The ability to choose was the whole point of the simulation. I do get too pessimistic sometimes. Maybe I've spent too much time looking at ruins. There's so much we could learn here. I should focus on that. Thanks for talking to me, 1K. I know we're in the middle of something, but I kind of needed that. Looks like another set of puzzles. Same pattern, 1 gate, 3 receivers. Like some sort of fractal symmetry.
Getting locked out of parts of the system. I think I've tracked down some more schematics, though. Let's see. This might do something. Or not.
1K.
Even the walls are bursting with power.
How far down this goes. Open. 1K if you want to. Go ahead. I'll finish up scanning this.
Mother? What are you thinking about, Mother?
The Talos principle. You see, it has two applications. One is to the self. It means facing the truth even if it frightens us. Understanding that living beings are machines and we can't afford to lie to ourselves. But that's just the beginning. The second application is to the world. This one seems easier at first. It's less difficult to understand that the universe is a machine, governed by laws.
So we and the universe are the same?
No, and that's the crucial part. We are conscious. Consciousness is rare, unlikely, but it's also the foundation of everything else. Without us, there can be no meaning. Without someone to perceive it, the beauty of the universe is pointless. But that shouldn't make us arrogant. No, in fact, it means we carry a tremendous responsibility. We are the light of the cosmos. And if we go out, there will be nothing but a cold, dark machine.
Athena?
The Founder was here?
She could still be here. What if this is why she left, to build all this? We have to look for her.
I'm reading some pretty big energy spikes. I think we better scramble.
But she could be right here, right behind the next door. I could turn around a corner and walk right into her.
If she's really here, she'll still be here when we come back. But right now, safety needs to come first. Let's go, Byron.
You're... Oh. Damn you, but you're right.
Heading back.
Was that really the Founder?
I think so.
It was her. For years, I've wondered what happened to her, why she left, where she went, why she didn't tell me.
If the answers are here, I promise you we'll find them. We just have to be careful. Follow protocol.
I still can't believe the Founder built this place. Has she been here the whole time?
We don't know that she actually built it. All we know for sure is that she was here at some point.
Of course she built this. Who else would have the kind of vision necessary to accomplish something like this? The question is why? And why like this? Why recreate all these aspects of the simulation? What is she trying to tell us?
It does seem like it might be a test. I can't imagine any other explanation. But why is it so broken? Or does it just appear to be broken so that we have to learn how to fix it? I hate this.
Well, I know one thing for sure. Everyone in New Jerusalem is gonna go absolutely nuts.
All right, take us back to base camp, Yakut.
Yes, sir. I'm getting some new readings. Looks like 2 of the northern sites are lighting up.
I think that may have been me. I suspect the puzzles are somehow tied to the transport system, like we're supposed to solve them in a particular order.
Our main objective is getting back into the megastructure. 1K, I want you on puzzles. You seem to have a knack for them. But the rest of us can't neglect our secondary objectives of studying this island and understanding this technology.